Attention passionate Philadelphia, EAGLES FANS. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Philadelphia Eagles' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Philadelphia Eagles fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Philadelphia, EAGLES FANS. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you've been paying attention to the NFC East lately, you know that this division is always full of surprises, and this year is no different. The Eagles, fresh off their impressive Super Bowl victory, are still riding that high. But the NFC East is heating up once again, and the recent developments are pointing toward a potential power shift that could have long-lasting repercussions. You see, the Washington Commanders, who for a long time seemed to be in a rebuilding phase, have actually enjoyed a pretty successful offseason. They've managed to lock in some key pieces, add some depth, and most importantly, they're heading into the new season with a lot of continuity. That's not something to overlook when we talk about the NFC East, because continuity in the NFL often translates into stability and potentially playoff success. The Commanders made a pretty significant move by resolving their contract drama with star wide receiver Terry McLaurin. That's a huge win for them, because McLaurin is one of the most dynamic receivers in the league and a real leader on and off the field. Keeping him happy and committed to the team is a statement that Washington is serious about competing this season. But what's even more interesting is how they are looking to bolster their roster further, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They've been eyeing young talent, and in particular, they're considering a move that could have serious implications for the Eagles' roster and their future. Now, here's where it gets really intriguing. The Commanders are reportedly eyeing a player that Philadelphia recently let go, Antwon Powell-Ryland. Powell-Ryland was selected in the 6th round of the 2025 NFL Draft by the Eagles, and he's a guy who showed a lot of promise coming out of Virginia Tech. During his time there, he recorded an eye-popping 25 sacks over his final 2 college seasons, which made him one of the most productive pass rushers in college football. That kind of production doesn't go unnoticed, especially when you're looking for young pass rushers who can develop into NFL starters. But here's the catch. Powell-Ryland didn't make the Eagles' initial 53-man roster this season. Instead, he was waived and then signed to their practice squad. That's not unusual for a 6th-round pick, especially one with limited NFL experience, but it does open up the possibility for other teams to swoop in. And that's exactly what the Commanders are reportedly considering. They see the potential in Powell-Ryland, and with their current roster composition, especially after losing some key defensive linemen like Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, and Brandon Graham, they could see him as a perfect fit for their pass rush needs. Now remember, the Eagles are a team that loves to develop talent behind the scenes. They've shown that they're willing to give young players time to grow, and Powell-Ryland could very well become a hidden gem for them. But the Commanders, on the other hand, might see this as a steal, an opportunity to draft a player with high upside and develop him on the fly. They're in a position where they have some roster flexibility, with 3 quarterbacks and 7 linebackers on their current 53-man roster, which means they could create space for Powell-Ryland if they really want him. This potential move by Washington isn't just about adding a young pass rusher. It's about strategic positioning within the division. If they manage to sign Powell-Ryland and develop him into a productive NFL edge rusher, it could significantly boost their defense and make life harder for the Eagles' offensive line. And let's face it, the Eagles' offensive line was one of the best in the league last year, but every team has its vulnerabilities. Adding a player like Powell-Ryland could be a game-changing move, especially if he continues to develop at the rate he showed in college. Considering the NFL's nature, where depth and youth often make the difference, this could be a smart gamble for Washington. They're also in a position where they can afford to take some risks. They have some excess roster spots, and if they can develop Powell-Ryland into a contributor, it's a win-win. But it's not just about development, it's also about sending a message. If Washington can sign him away from the Eagles, it's a subtle way of weakening a division rival while strengthening their own squad, a classic division rivalry move, if you will. It's the kind of chess game that makes the NFL so fascinating year after year. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the bigger picture here. The Eagles, of course, are looking to defend their Super Bowl title, and they've built a roster that's stacked in many positions. But they also faced some losses this offseason, especially on the defensive line. Players like Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, and Brandon Graham are no longer with the team, which leaves some gaps that they're trying to fill. And that's why the signing of Powell Ryland could have been seen as a low-risk, high-reward move. The Eagles have always been good at developing talent, and Powell Ryland's college production suggests he has upside. But if another team like Washington comes in with a strong offer, they might tempt him to take the next step sooner rather than later. And speaking of the Eagles' roster, it's worth noting that they're in a position where they can afford to be patient with young players like Powell Ryland. The coaching staff has always valued depth and competition, and they're known for their ability to develop talent from the practice squad. So the idea that Powell Ryland might leave the Eagles for the right opportunity isn't out of the question, especially if Washington makes a compelling offer and gives him a chance to earn a spot on the active roster early in his career. But let's not forget the bigger implications here. This potential move by Washington could shift the balance of power in the NFC East. The division has always been known for its competitive nature, and every offseason move, every draft pick, can tip the scales. If Washington manages to find a reliable pass rusher in Powell Ryland, they'll be adding a piece to their puzzle that could help them challenge the Eagles more consistently. It's a classic case of division rivalry strategy, weakening your rival while fortifying your own team. And for the Eagles, it's a reminder that they need to stay sharp, keep developing their young talent, and be ready for these kinds of moves. The NFL is a league where every detail matters, and a player who might seem like a fringe roster guy today could become a star tomorrow. The Eagles have proven they're capable of turning late-round picks into impactful players, so they're probably not losing sleep over this potential departure. Still, it's a situation worth monitoring as we approach training camp and the regular season. Now, diving a little deeper into the NFL landscape, it's clear that the league is increasingly about finding those hidden gems, guys who can develop quickly and impact games early. Powell Ryland fits that mold perfectly. His college stats are impressive, and the fact that he registered 25 sacks in his last 2 seasons at Virginia Tech shows he has a knack for getting after the quarterback. The question remains, can he do that against NFL offensive linemen? That's the big unknown, and the NFL is always the great equalizer. Some college stars flourish, and others struggle to translate their skills to the pro level. But here's the thing, Washington is in a position where they need pass rushers. They have a solid core, but adding a young player with potential could be a real boon for their defense. If they see enough in him to give him a shot on the active roster, it might be a move that pays dividends down the line. Especially if Powell Ryland can step in early and make an impact, giving Washington a boost on defense and making the Eagles' front four work even harder to protect their quarterback. And let's not forget, this kind of roster maneuvering is common in the NFL. Teams are always looking for that extra edge, that hidden advantage. Sometimes it's a draft pick, sometimes a trade, and other times it's poaching a practice squad player. The NFL's landscape is constantly shifting, and every move has ripple effects. For the Eagles, it's about maintaining their core strength, but also being aware of the division rivals who are looking to close the gap. In the end, the story here isn't just about Powell Ryland's potential move. It's about the bigger chess game happening in the NFC East. The Eagles have built a team that's capable of winning another Super Bowl, but they're not resting on their laurels. They know every team in the division is gunning for them, and Washington's interest in Powell Ryland is a perfect example of how strategic and competitive this rivalry remains. It's a reminder that the NFL is a league of constant evolution, where yesterday's practice squad player can become today's game changer, and division rivals are always looking for ways to outsmart each other. So, Eagles fans, stay tuned because this story is far from over. We'll see if Washington pulls the trigger, if Powell Ryland gets the opportunity he deserves, and how all of this impacts the NFC East race. The excitement is just beginning, and it's shaping up to be an intense, unpredictable season. Keep your eyes on your team, because in the NFL, nothing is ever settled until the final whistle blows. The Eagles are ready, but every other team is sharpening their knives, and every move counts when it comes to chasing that Super Bowl ring once again. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YOUTUB algorithm to keep recommending the latest Philadelphia Eagles news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Philadelphia Eagles fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this potential move by Washington? Do you think Powell Ryland has what it takes to make it in the NFL? Would you be upset if the Eagles lose him to division rivals? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Philadelphia Eagles. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Philadelphia Eagles news. This division is going to be a roller coaster, and we're here to bring you every twist and turn. Thanks for sticking with us, and as always, go Birds.